So here's a quick tour of the really before, like before I even organized, even started this project, just like this is what it looked like at a rough midterm after everything, the crazy time of year that it is going to be, and it is. You can see that definitely one of my issues is my desk. I mean, I was in the midst of grading a whole bunch of things. You can see obviously my shoes are off. And while I have some organization, like I've got this bookcase over here, my filing cabinet, that's kind of where I can store my secure documents and so forth, it's not really utilized quite as effectively as I would like to. And it's one of those projects, I keep wanting to get to it, just as time just gets away from me to do it. So this project really came at the right time. Booted next to this one, this is where my student aid works. Obviously, I try and keep it a little bit clearer for him because, I want to have him help kind of not feel like he's cluttered in there all the time. But it definitely could be more organized as well. So this was kind of a move forward, and you can kind of see this little desk area, which is great because it's kind of off to the side. It's not really usable in terms of the student space, in the fact that really can't see very well from there. The other thing is behind my jacket over here, I actually have, this is where the port is that you have to plug in the computer to get to the LCD projector. So I'm really restricted to kind of keep it here if I want to work from my computer and have my computer to present for my classes. So that's kind of a quick look at that before of my desk. The other thing is this is kind of right next to it. This is one of the boards that I had. Originally I had started kind of keeping my agenda and that sort of thing on there, and it just kind of went by the wayside because kids weren't really using it very effectively. And I was trying to use it more so that I could have like student work and so forth on there. So I've been kind of doing that a little bit. And you can see I have this rug kind of over here so the kids could kind of walk up. I have a lot of plug cords on the walls and also on the bottom of the floors, but really nothing to plug into those. So that's kind of a look at that side. Then when you look at, obviously going from, this is my kind of classroom before, you can kind of see, how I have the desks. I teach in groups, so I kind of use this area here. This is kind of my back of my room, and then kind of going this little desk area. So there's really kind of an empty space here. This connects to the, the classroom next door. I've got this kind of areas over here with my windows, and then here's my projector screen that I have. So it's really hard because my room, while it looks really big, and it is big, it's long, but it's very narrow, and to be able to have the kids, you don't want to have them right on top of the screen, so I can't put them too close here, but then they need to have room for them to have space so they're not bumping into each other. So it really makes it hard. I put my desk in the front here so that I could connect it to the projector, but one of my issues is really this cord. While it does connect well, and it's not really a tripping hazard, it definitely is an issue for the students to sit back here to kind of bounce back and forth and kind of see the cord. So this is another view from it, kind of looking at it from my, kind of walking into my classroom. Again, you can kind of see this is another, cord issue right here. I'm constantly tripping on that, and people step on it. Usually it's just me kind of walking there, but even though I know it's there, there's no other way that I can, put something that, because I have to technically plug it into a surge protector, so I can't just willy-nilly plug it in, and there's no plugs on the floor in the front, they're only in the back. So the only cords that I have, areas I have to plug in, are in this front wall here, so I have to pick one of those in order to run my document camera and my InterWrite pad that I use. So that kind of how to do that. You can kind of see I've got a couple tables in the front room and some space in the storage here by the windows. This is a closer look kind of my first area here. You can see I've got my document camera plugged in. Currently, this is my kind of turn in. As kids finish things, they turn it in here, so that way it's kind of there. It's not on my desk. My InterWrite pads, I can plug in and use that, and just kind of my lesson for the day for the class, and just kind of supplies that I would need to kind of work through for the day, and a chair for me. Again, close-up look at this plug cord. This is as far as this extension cord will go, and in the past I've been told that I can't use another extension cord. You need to have a surge protector to plug it in for the electronics and so forth. So I want to make sure that I'm to code, and I'm very hesitant about putting something over this. I mean, I can put something over this rug, but I really can't put anything over this area here with the plug. So I'm kind of limited. I haven't figured out a good way to go about it. So that's an issue I wanted to work with. So this is kind of the side by the window here. You can see I've got definitely some storage here. These are great for putting some things I want to hide. They're not really deep though, so I can't really kind of store files in there. I can store supplies, but not really a lot of other things. I've got some bins that I've been using to kind of store like basic supplies, and over here in this area is going to be kind of my area. So this is kind of like my desk of my supplies for the kind of the week. This is my little bins here. They have like 2 weeks worth of kind of any copies that I have, so I kind of have it to help me keep track for each of the classes. It's also got my lessons and a textbook. So everything that I would need to kind of resource in here for my classes for the week are going to be in there, and it helps me kind of get a place that I can put things off of my desk. This is a kind of a closer look at this area. You can see I've kind of used some storage underneath to kind of throw some stuff that I'm kind of not sure where to put right now. It's out of the way, but it's very unsightly. So I've got to figure out a better way to do that. And here's my expectation board. I made this, and I was really proud of kind of the things I came up with here. You can't read expectations on this blue background here, so it's really hard to see that. I think I really want to try and redo this or put it in a different place of the classroom. I don't think it's really being effectively, looked at everything over here. So I feel like I could have some, other way to do that. Then again, I've got this, air conditioning unit here. I kind of store things temporarily. These are the little tubs that I normally have on the tables for groups. I moved off to the side because we had to, rearrange the desks for midterm exams. So I had them in rows instead of the groups that I normally do. So I kind of had moved them off to the side just to get them out of the way. But I mean, it's kind of a good storage space, but you can't keep things over the blowers. So it's kind of limited of what I can put on there. This area I can't stand. This is my originally turn hand in, hand out kind of thing. I got this organizer. I'd used it at home and I wasn't really using it, so I brought it into work. And for the longest time, I did such a great job using it. It was really effective. And this is just run by the wayside. Like I have, turn in things here and hand in things or hand out things here. And really what I ended up doing was usually I'm pretty good about handing things back to students. So I really kind of didn't end up, having turn in things in here. This would be kind of things I need to hold to grade kind of stuff. And then this would be the stuff I have to hand back to them. And this was kind of miscellaneous stuff, Scantron and things. But I really haven't used it very much. I mean, the kids know where to find their tests when they've been graded over here, but other than that, it's kind of just wasted, and I feel like it's a good organizational tool. I just don't know necessarily how to repurpose it. And this is the back of my classroom. You can see I've got a nice class boards, and I've been using them right now for what we've been doing in class, kind of just having kids put their work and stuff up. But I kind of have them, do problems on the board and that sort of thing. And oftentimes class, I kind of have kids grab board space and do some work. So I do have this area, and I try and keep it open so that they can work on that. So as I mentioned, I'm still kind of in my phase one of getting it organized. It's a bigger process than I planned, and I kind of like to do things right the first time. So one of the things that I'm in the process of doing, I've kind of taken everything that kind of didn't have a good place or just needs to be reorganized and kind of put it on the side of my wall. I bought a bunch of these little see-through tubs, which I love because then you can kind of see in to see what's inside them, and they do stack on side of each other. So that way I can kind of put in what I need to put in there and just kind of label it. So that's kind of one of the processes I'm working on. And these can really just be stored anywhere within the room as long as there's kind of a place to stick them out. So that's kind of in process right now, but that's one of the aspects I'm really trying to do is get things kind of contained and organized and labeled well so I know exactly where they're at. I don't have a large amount of cabinet space, and the cabinet space I do have only has a certain depth to it, so binders and things can't fit in there. So kind of working around the, what I have to work with. But just a quick look to kind of see how my classroom looks kind of from the perspective of coming in the door. The tables and desks are obviously still set up the same way as normal. The way I teach my classes, I really need to have them in groups all the time. I do have a student that's in a wheelchair, so I have to keep this wheelchair desk here all the time. Obviously, I have another student that comes in here that puts the chair up instead. But one of the things that's majorly different, obviously, is the desk. The desk that was up here in the front, with the little cord going to the LCD projector, is no longer there. I've moved it to the back over here. It keeps it out of the way. Even my kids that used to sit in these two desks were just like, oh my gosh, I have so much more room. This is so much nicer. It's not in the way. And they never really complained about it before, but I knew it was definitely an issue. The only thing, of course, that definitely is always going to be an issue, and I know that was one of the things that was brought up in another person's project, is the kids back to each other. While my room looks spacious, and it is spacious, it's not very, well, it's long, but it's very narrow. So, and with my projector screen right, over on the side here, there's only so much I can do to have all the kids facing this way. And, the further I go to the windows or the further I go to the door, the harder it is to see the screen that I've got over here. So really, working with the class sizes that I do, I've got a class size of 32 this year, so I have to try and make it so that I can always fit all my students in here. But you can see one of the things I was already doing that I've continued to do was little organizational tubs in each of the desks that has all their supplies that they need. This is also their cell phone home, so during assessments they check in their cell phones, so they're not out during tests and quizzes and so forth. So that's one of the things I've continued to do that I had before. But it just does look better. Having this little area in the back here for myself was nicer because it kind of keeps me out of the way. And I definitely have more room to kind of walk. This was a rug I had over on the side, but it just kind of, I didn't keep it there before because the table was just in the way. But now it kind of, I don't have to worry about it, and I don't have to worry about any cords coming in here. And it just makes it a free flowing. The only, like I said, the only issue is I feel like the tables are still close, but there's really nothing I can do with the number of desks I need in here and where I have to do it so people can see. So it's kind of, I feel like it's done a really good job considering what I had to work with. The other thing I've tried to do is, over here on the side by the windows, I've tried to kind of stack things kind of more. I already had the bins with everything in it kind of labeled. I want to do kind of a better job of a place to put these, but I stacked, all the books on the windowsills, kind of places that weren't really being used effectively. And again, I want to try and kind of utilize the storage space that I have, which works for certain things, but the depth, again, doesn't allow binders and things like that. So just kind of trying to figure out where to put these things, but I've tried to kind of, organize and group them all together so that they're there. And the kids are used to kind of where these supplies are, but the main ones that they use every day are in their bins for them. So here's a closer look to the back of my room, and you can see what I did. Obviously, I moved my expectation board back in the back here. So this is going to be kind of my workstation. Instead of having it in the front with the cord that I had to worry about, now it's all kind of cornered on the back. I kind of was kind of good because I really didn't have any functional space for my students in this back corner here. And the other thing was I had down here on the bottom, I have a couple plug outlets that are on the bottom of my floor. So I had one right here. And so for my document camera, instead of actually having it that long wire that would kind of came down in front of the kids all the time that was hard to see, I tried to minimize that and the tripping issue. I basically got rid of that, and so although it hasn't been fully connected, I do have the stuff to do it. I'm going to actually have it so that the cord obviously we kind of go down here and actually will end up kind of curling on the ceiling up to the spot where my LCD projector is. So again, it'll be out of the way. And I put this table over here so it kind of goes over the cords and obviously over the plug cord. So it's not going to be an issue. No one's going to walk over it. It's going to be protected. And it's still plugged in the way it's supposed to be appropriately plugged in there. So I thought that was a really great way to do that. And then, again, all my kind of organizational bins that I used to have in the front that I was always accessing this way, they're right here when I need to do it. And I've kind of got a desktop station for myself that, if I need to sit back there while they're working on something, I can just kind of sit in the background and not be in the way. Or, like I said, if I need to access anything, I can kind of put my lessons for the day on here and try and keep it a little bit more organized. Got a little bit of storage, so I can put some of those things on there. This area over here was where I used to have that hand-in-hand bout bin, so right now it's kind of in transition. I've got a lot of boxes and stuff I've got to find places for, but that was kind of one of the things that I thought would be good to do. And then even though the expectations are on the back, kids are constantly turning around. I definitely have things that they resource and look at, so this would kind of draw their attention to that, and I think it stood out a little bit better than the blue background that I was on before, so I like that. To help with the confusion for the turn-in and handout kind of mess I had kind of in that one folder that organizational tool that I didn't really use effectively, I came up with this idea instead, and I moved one of the tables that I originally had on the opposite side of the room to the front of the table, kind of by my door. And I basically took 5 little bins that I have here. I just used a little decorative duct tape just to kind of look pretty, and I labeled for all my classes in here. And so this way, if I want to have all 5 out, I can do that. But if I want to have them all kind of stacked, they're out of the way, and so I can easily kind of see which ones they are. This was great. So basically what I can do is every time I have a class turn in information, like a turn in paper, a quiz, or something they take, they can turn it in on their bin, and then I can just stack it and pull it out for the next class. And then when I need to grade papers, I basically bring the bins over to my desk. I can grade them, record them, put them back in the bins, hand them back, and so that way whenever I go the next day, if there's anything in the bins, they just get handed out. So it's kind of a hand in, hand out at the same time, and then this way I remember to put things back, hand things back if there's things in there when I go to collect more things. So I thought that came out really nice, and it was a great way to kind of reduce one thing that was just taking up a lot of space to something that would take minimal space. And I like the fact that with kind of the bucket style, I could kind of bring one bin to my desk and kind of keep it somewhat organized while I was doing it. And if I haven't gotten to grading it, it just stays in the bin. So this bulletin board was one of the ones I had in the front earlier. This was the one that was my expectations bulletin board, and I kind of took that and moved it to the back of my classroom, and I took some of the stuff I had on the other side front board and kind of moved it here. So this would kind of be like my, this is my exercise your brain board. So I kind of took some of the things I was already doing, kind of stimulating the math, like the Sudoku puzzle. I kind of moved that over here, and then also I came up with some little folders that I could have for each of the classes. So like, these were for pre-calc, and these were for AP Stats. And so eventually I'm going to label on these here what they are, and these are my Sudoku boards. So just some different things that I can put, and I can just leave the folders up and change them appropriately. This I thought was really cool because I could basically, keep the basic structure here, but put in some different things. I also have some different math games and puzzles that are always just, collecting dust in my closet. So my goal is eventually to kind of get some sort of bookcase or some sort of like some place of organization that I can put some of those things on here so that I'll have kind of more than that. So kids finish early, or they're, subs here and they finish early, that sort of thing. They have some kind of puzzles or some stimulation of things to do or to read. I have some books and things that they could do too. This I thought was really creative. I got this off of another idea too. These are actually little cookie sheets that I got from the dollar store. And what I liked about them was the fact that they're magnetic. So basically I just took a little the command strip little Velcro things and stuck them to my wall so I can pull them on and off as I need to. And then basically they're magnetic, so I can put the puzzles that I want to change every week, just change them by just changing the magnets. And then I did the same thing for my box. I basically just kind of put it on there, again, Velcroed on the wall so I can pull it off and put it on as I need to do drawings. So I thought that was a really neat way. And like I said, kind of right now my goal is to kind of take this spot. This is where the old table used to be. So I wanted to kind of take this and kind of create some sort of organizational thing like a bookcase or something where I could stack and store some things and possibly even put some supplies there as well. This is sort of my phase one of organizing my area for my desk area. This is kind of a close-up on the side. I actually had one of these little kind of hanging folder things in my house that I really wasn't using effectively. So again, I love these command strips. I got the little Velcro strips and kind of Velcroed them to my desk. And so basically what it allowed me to do is kind of have a storage area. And this is great because now I can kind of create, whatever the tabs are, to do, or whatever kind of things like meetings, my different teams that I'm in. I can create something, I can just throw them in the organization that they need to be here so they're not cluttering up my desk, because my biggest thing was I could never see, clear desk. So this way I can kind of put them in here and just kind of get them off the side. And even if things look a little kind of crazy in here, at least they're all in one contained area and they're organized based on kind of the situation they need to be. That'll help me to keep more desk space, I can use it when I need to use it and doesn't get, all over my desk and everything. The other thing I saw that I haven't fully effectively done, but I did, another idea I saw on Pinterest was a really great idea. It's something called a sub tub, and so I thought this was a great idea. It's one thing that basically it's kind of like a file folder tub, and what it does is basically it has everything that you would need for a sub, which is great whether you're going to plan to be out or not plan to be out. It basically is something you can just, you can put a current roster in there, your general lesson plans, emergency plans, whatever. It has a place to put all the papers that the kids are collected for that day, and just puts it in one organized area that's not on my desk. And so that way I can basically just kind of take it, put it on my desk. If I'm ever out, people know to go to the sub tub, and everything that they'll need is going to be in their seating charts, whatever. And it's great because I can just kind of set it aside until I can go back to look at it. Again, keeping everything off my desk as much as possible was my goal, to kind of organize myself a little bit better to do that. One of the things I'm really most excited about was what came up with when I looked on some Pinterest ideas to get an idea to create something to cover my door whenever we have lockdown or something like that, when I need to have it covered. Usually I would just keep a piece of paper nearby and just throw it up on the door. But I saw this idea and I thought it really looked cool. So when you look at my door when you first walk in, it just looks like I've got this nice little curtain up here with these little flowers. It looks really pretty. Close the door, that's exactly what it looks like here. But the great thing is, whenever we have a lockdown, all I have to do is take these little clips that are over here and let them go. And what happens is it comes down. So you can see that it kind of holds down there. And it's just a piece of paper. And just kind of take a closer look at it, it was really just, I saw something, I took some of the decorative duct tape and I basically put it on the ends of the construction paper. And basically that just kind of gives a little stability. My doors are magnetic, so I put them on magnets up at the top here. And then just folded it kind of like an accordion way, and so that way the clips kind of hold it down, and like I said, once I'm done with it I can just basically put it back up like I saw it before. So I thought that turned out really cool. And it's right next to my emergency materials over here, so if I need to remember what I need to do for each of the different things, I've got all that stuff handy as well.